We're gonna spend the next 20 minutes or so sharing some recent student projects that we've done involving historic maps, and we'll just get started. So David Rumsey Map Center, a little bit about what we do. The center holds Stanford University Library's rare map collection. And in the room that we are showing here, we act as a special collections reading room, providing supervised access to historic maps. We conduct reference sessions for faculty, students, and the public, and we facilitate class visits and provide instruction. We also maintain a unique technology program, host events and conferences, produce and display exhibitions, and are open for public drop-in hours 3 days a week. So we do a lot, but we are a small team and we always have more that we wish that we could do. And in the past, we had been hiring student reference workers to be stationed at our front desk, and they essentially got paid to do homework, which wasn't a great situation for anybody. There are a couple of things that we know to be true from experience and from the literature, which is that student patrons feel more comfortable and welcomed when they see their peers working in map centers or in libraries, and also that today's students are looking for opportunities to build research skills and get relevant workplace experience. So in the past couple of years, we have been addressing these issues, and in all of the efforts we're going to share with you, our first goal was to get student workers more involved, and the second was to find ways to showcase student voices. So we've done this by coming up with a few sort of rolling projects that student workers can get involved with, and where we have a standardized format, but the content can be customized according to student interests. And Niles is going to start us off by talking about our ongoing undergraduate project.
Thank you, Kristina, for the lovely introduction. As you can see here, this is our undergraduate Sanborn indexing project. We kind of use this as an introductory work set to sort of get everyone on the same page when it comes to hiring students. I imagine many of you are familiar with Sanborn Atlases, but for those of you who are not, these were fire insurance atlases that were used by fire insurance underwriters from the mid-1800s to the mid to late 1900s. The company Sanborn was a bit ahead of their time. They were one of the first subscription services that we all know and love today. And the way that worked is the information in these atlases was updated yearly by pasting over plates of the atlas with corrections. Here you can see this is sort of like a standard plate of one of these atlases, and then the smaller photo is an index page and a title page from one of them. These are great resources because it's easy to see the usefulness of these atlases, especially for undergrads who may have no familiarity with historical materials. So what do we actually do with them? The long and short of it is we have students create digital indexes of these atlases. We start using a very simple, easy-to-use website called geojson.io, and we have the students manually draw out polygons that represent the bounds of each plate in the atlas. Again, here's an example of an index plate from San Francisco, Sanborn Volume 10, and then sort of how that is translated into a digital format. Once these digital indexes are created on this website, we then have the students export the set of polygons as a GeoJSON file, and then we have them upload that GeoJSON file to our Sanborn indexing GitHub repository. These indexes, of course, are drawn out by hand manually, and so inherently there are going to be gaps and overlaps between the drawn out polygons. And so the students run the GeoJSON files through a Python script that takes an average of all the vertex points within a defined radius and then snaps them all together. This gives us an aligned index file, which then we upload to GitHub, overwriting the manually created file. So now we have a nice clean digital index. What's next? Our next step is to fill out more data in QGIS as defined by the Open Index Maps project attribute fields. Then we'll associate each polygon with its respective image scan available on Searchworks, which is our online library catalog. And eventually we'll upload all of this to Earthworks, which is similar, but it is a spatial catalog for Stanford libraries. This will result in a publicly available digital index for our collection of Sanborns. And in terms of skills built from this project, at a base level, all of these students gain an understanding of how to handle historical materials, And then, as described, they learn how to work with the digital tools and services used during each step of this process. So GitHub, GeoJSON, QGIS, Python, etc. So in terms of more individualized projects, this is our friend Umar. Umar last summer worked with us to develop an app for Apple's Vision Pro VR headset. As you might be able to imagine, this is a little more specialized or individualized than the sort of general Sanborn project, and the app itself is centered around a 19th century map of Paris from the Rumsey collection. For a quick overview of the app's functionality, we start with our digital composite map that we got from the Rumsey website. Umar then created a georeferenced overlay, which can switch between the modern satellite imagery, the map scan seen here, and the standard view you'd see on like Apple Maps. And then scattered throughout the city are POIs, points of interest, that you can select to be brought into a sort of immersive space to view film photographs from the time period of the map. In terms of skills built for this project, the biggest piece of this is Umar got a portfolio piece out of it. This is really important for applying to jobs straight out of college these days. Other resume listable experiences, VR, AR development, Swift and Swift UI, that's Apple's programming language, Xcode, and the App Store release process. And then we also get to show off the app at the Rumsey Center. And with that, I will turn it back over to Kristina.
Thank you, Niles. So we host a lot of class visits every quarter, providing customized instruction and material sets based on faculty requests and the class syllabus. And as you can imagine, this can be really time-consuming. So in an effort to increase our capacity for customized class visits without adding full-time staff, we created an instructional support specialist position. So students in this role support us in teaching information literacy skills essential for conducting research with cartographic primary sources. And they do this by shadowing instructors and building skills, using and helping others use collections, conducting research and writing short descriptive summaries about maps, creating teaching guides, and helping to facilitate group inquiry. So they also get opportunities to teach, which for them are pretty rare. So here we have one product of the work of the instructional support specialists. These are our map discussion cards. So this is for a student-centered map reading activity. After shadowing a few classes and watching some typical interactions, one of the workers came up with this idea, went home and created the first prototype set that you see up here. This is the orange cards at top left. The cards have prompts on them, which are designed to help students begin to engage with unfamiliar cartographic material. For these one-shot classes, we typically just have like an hour or an hour and a half to try to convert people over into being map nerds. So these are some effective and fast ways of getting people to kind of engage with unfamiliar material. We've tested these with classes and tweaked the format over time. We had 2 sets at one point. The students choose a map or maps. They can do it individually or as a small group. They work on puzzling out the answers to the cards that they have. They then regroup. The whole class comes together, shares the questions, briefly describes the maps, and explains their answers. And then instructors can offer additional context or explanations or walk through possible methods for finding out the answers to these questions. So it's quick and fun and kind of low stakes and can be combined with other activities like map reading workshops if time permits. So one successful form, a sort of ongoing project, is for student workers to do research on a topic of their interest. So we provide suggestions. We have a list of things that we would like people to help us with, but students are free to follow their own curiosity. And they develop a paging set or a contextualized group of collection materials that can be used with classes. So Stanford has an extensive collection of maps of California as an island. You can see our digital collection here at your right. In fact, the collection is so extensive that we've actually had a hard time figuring out how to select material for it. It's quite frankly kind of overwhelming. So one of the workers in this position is specializing in maritime history, had experience working with maps, and was eager to dig in and try to understand the history of the phenomenon. As it turns out, the story is not so hard to piece together from prior research, but it's convoluted enough to be difficult to summarize. So she went through the entire catalog, looking for items that illustrated key points in the story, prioritizing visually striking items and objects that are easy to handle and physically robust so we could avoid any preservation issues. She then wrote up an instructor's summary of the content, and we have a pre-paged list in Aeon, which is the software that we use to manage retrieval of materials. So this can be easily duplicated for future classes. Based on that foundation, another student worker created curriculum materials, including learning outcomes and activities that can be done either in the center using the real maps or remotely using facsimiles. She built out a template and GitHub pages. This was the first time we'd gone through this, and populated it with the material, and we are looking forward to test driving this in the quarters ahead. So this successful collection research work provided a model for another engagement over this past summer, where a faculty member who frequently uses the collection had a paid internship role and reached out to us in search of some fulfilling relevant projects for the student. So we have another collection called the Maps of Africa, which consists of over 1,000 maps, combining materials obtained from several different private collectors, along with digitized copies of maps from the University of Cape Town. So it's a rich corpus of material, but our sense has been that it could benefit from modifications to improve usability. So the student researcher chose to work on the maps of Cape Town, and as with California as an island, set about understanding the collection and developing a brief that can help users understand the collection, all of this under the guidance of her faculty advisor. She also performed a systematic usability review of this digital collection and created a report for us outlining issues that could be leading to confusion for researchers, along with suggestions for mitigating those problems. So this has helped us move from this vague feeling that we could have ways of improving this resource. Now we have some thoughtful suggestions for how to do so, which have been offered by a potential end user of the information. And finally, the last thing I want to tell you about involving student voices is our annual student exhibition competition. This is co-sponsored by the California Map Society, open to undergrads and grad students anywhere in the US. It's divided into 2 rounds. There's a concept proposal that students submit. They pick 3 maps and write a little bit about them, and then finalists go into a final round and get support developing proposals from staff over several months, and by staff I mean me. The award includes the physical exhibition at the Rumsey Center, hosting of a digital exhibition, a $1,000 prize, travel expense coverage, a year membership in the California Map Society, and the opportunity to present about the work. The finalists, we've done this 3 times now, they've come from Stanford and then most recently Brown. We have photos here of the installations. No, you can't really see this, but there's QR codes that will take you to digital companions for each of these exhibitions. And some takeaways to share with you. Good results require advanced planning and an investment of time, but once the project frameworks are set up, it's easy to get new students up to speed. The digital indexing project is a really good starter activity, and then we can tackle more advanced projects with grad students related to their areas of interest. Collaborating with faculty is a really great way to find candidates and also identify useful projects, which simultaneously improves the support that we're providing to those departments and makes our collections more accessible. And iterating these things over time provides for a framework where students can get excited about the work they're doing, and it leads to better outcomes because there are opportunities along the way for us to give and receive feedback about how things are working. And so that's it for us. If you've got questions about any of this, we would be happy to share. Thank you.
Could you just say a bit more about the disciplines that the students represent? I know Stanford doesn't have a geography program, so what are these students studying?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's all over the place. We get, I can't remember the exact number, but it's like 15 different departments that are regularly bringing classes in, anywhere from, we have fine arts and art history and urban planning. We hosted a 56-person class of Foundations of GIS on Monday. Obviously a lot of history, classics. Yeah, it really, my view at this point, and it's shared by all of us, is like we challenge them to bring a class to us that we can't find a way to like use this collection in some way that's interesting to them. So luckily, the demand that we have from faculty to provide classes is sort of outpacing our need to go and like hustle up more traffic. So yeah, it's a very broad variety of students and experience levels that we get. Awesome, that's great, thanks. It's great to hear it. one thing that I will say, I know that people do use the collection extensively. We would love to hear about projects that your students are doing. We know that good things are happening, but don't usually, after we sort of help connect people with relevant material, we usually don't hear from them again. So it would be nice to have more examples that we can show to students who are coming in about what the potential is for working with this material.
Would it make sense to think about sending you a blog post?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. That'd be great. All right, thank you.